So Gareth Southgate is in the mood to experiment these days. How else can you explain the presence of Angus Gunn in an England squad? But let's take a look at the combined 11 of the youngest ever England debutants. Jack Butland. When Jack Butland made his debut as a spotty-faced teen 5 years ago, he must have thought he'd be breathing down the neck of Joe Hart in no time. Since then, he's established himself as a fine Premier League goalkeeper, but broken arms and Roy Hodgson have restricted him to just 5 more caps. Glenn Johnson. Bear in mind, Gareth Southgate, if you ever run out of defenders that fall asleep midway through the game, Glenn Johnson hasn't officially retired from international football just yet. He made his debut against Denmark in November 2003, but would have to wait until Gary Neville moved into punditry before he managed to get a solid run in the team. Michael Richards. What on earth happened to Michael Richards? In November 2006, he was marking Arjen Robben out of a game as England's youngest ever defender. He then went on to establish himself as a regular under Steve McLaren. Since then, his club form has nosedived, along with his general fitness and ability to keep his body together, and at 29 years of age, he's out in the cold at Aston Villa. Unsurprisingly, he hasn't represented his country in 5 years. Rio Ferdinand. See, no, Micah, this is how you build on early promise. Rio Ferdinand has 81 caps to his name and was named in 4 consecutive World Cup squads, although he never did appear at the European Championships due to his failure to comply with drug tests and, of course, Steve McLaren. His debut came against Cameroon in November 1997. The lad would have made an even earlier debut if he hadn't been charged with drink driving prior to a World Cup qualifier against Moldova. Good to see the man has always had his wits about him. Luke Shaw. As far as multi-million superstar footballers go, the career of Luke Shaw is almost too tragic to look at. You just get the feeling he's sliding the same way as Michael Richards, and just like the television replays of his leg break in horrifically gruesome slow motion. For a club to make you the most expensive teenager on the planet, there must have been some hype. Shaw had just been capped against Denmark in March 2014 and would end up going to the World Cup, but as we all know, his experience at Old Trafford has been a monumental waste of time and he's been capped 6 times since. Theo Walcott. The new Thierry Henry was it. Sven-Göran Eriksson wasn't a bad manager, but jeez, what was he thinking when he omitted Jermaine Defoe and Darren Bent? 2 men who'd actually played a few top flight games to bring Theo Walcott, Theo Walcott, to the World Cup. He was an unknown secret weapon. Of course he was. Half the English fans didn't have a clue who he was. In March 2006, he became his country's youngest ever player in a warm-up friendly against Hungary. I'm guessing Defoe was sitting on the sidelines wondering if this was all some sort of sick joke. Duncan Edwards. The first man on this list who sadly passed away. Duncan Edwards was destined to become a great player for both Manchester United and England when he was suddenly killed in the infamous 1958 Munich air disaster at the age of 21. His England debut had come against Scotland 3 years earlier, making him his nation's youngest debutant since the Second World War. Jack Wilshere. Arsene Wenger has piped up recently and claimed Gareth Southgate should be picking Jack Wilshere for England. Yeah, good lad Arsene, maybe you should be picking him for Arsenal. 7 years ago, Wilshere was England's future, a viewpoint only enhanced by that one good game he had against Barcelona. His England debut came against Hungary in August 2010. It's 7 years later and he's behind Lewis Cook in the England pecking order. Raheem Sterling. You might have expected to see Marcus Rashford make this list, considering he's England's next great hope, and has been talked about ever since he burst onto the scene against a bunch of Danish farmers, and became the 27th player in 5 years to ruin Arsenal's title hopes. But no, Raheem Sterling takes this spot, having made his debut before he was even legally able to drink back in 2012, although he still probably had about 5 kids, when Zlatan Ibrahimovic decided to provide a glimpse of what a world-class player could do to that shambolic England defence. Sterling has recovered to play 34 more times for his country. Brian Shawcross has been hidden away, never to be seen again in an England shirt, while Wilfred Zaha now plays for a different country, and was then rewarded with an England debut against Australia. He scored after 5 minutes. Wayne Rooney. What more can you say about Wayne Rooney? Well, other than the fact that he could have represented the Republic of Ireland, and it would have been nice to have him banging in goals alongside Robbie Keane, rather than Kevin Doyle. Like Rashford, he earned his first cap in a friendly against the Aussies, only this one was 13 years earlier. Teammates that day included Paul Konchesky, James Beattie and Francis Jeffers, who as we all know went on to enjoy similarly legendary international careers. Michael Owen. He's a bit of a joke figure in modern football, but in his day the man was a goal-mouthed predator. 40 strikes in 89 caps is a brilliant record, especially considering he was barely able to kick the ball during his last couple of seasons as a professional footballer. Michael Owen made his debut in 1998, smashing Edwards' record, scored in 4 major tournaments, and is 5th in the list of all-time top scorers for his country. Just a shame he burnt himself out by the age of 25.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.